go after the very thing that powers the Hunmoon. The fans.
A demon boy band?
I went down a Korean demonology, mythology, art history rabbit hole. Demon does not mean one specific thing in Korean mythology in kind of a similar way that in the West, fairy are fae and gnomes are fae. And if you didn't know gnomes are fae, I just blew your mind. Dokubae are different types of, I want to say goblin demons, but remove the idea of inherent negativity. Despite the commonness of fangs, the vibe isn't ogre, it's fae trickster who won't commonly hurt you if you don't hurt them. Traditionally, they were never human and they have never died. They can be ugly or beautiful, but they commonly wear traditional Korean hanbok. And sometimes they appear out of blue flames. They were said to arise from old discarded objects, an old basket, an old broom, especially an object stained with human blood. I find the idea that they can be both nature spirits and arise from objects very interesting rather than coming from a soul or from Earth. Dokubae are tricksters, and they don't all want the same thing. Some are helpers, some want to seduce humans, some want to wrestle even though they only have one leg. There's also a lot of art of them singing and dancing, so they like music. They are also depicted with clubs, but these aren't just caveman clubs. They actually work as magic wands. And while they cannot create matter, they can summon existing objects. Some are friendly enough to have over for dinner, but if you hang out with them too much, you might start to turn into one. Which happens in one story to an old man that drinks with a Dokubae, and then has to trick the Dokubae into leaving him alone, but not before tricking him into thinking it would be a really great act of revenge to leave him a whole bunch of money. In some traditions, you might make an offering to them because some are defenders against evil spirits, or they might help you with your crops. But in other traditions, they're troublemakers, so you do things to drive them away, or at the very least, do something to promote the good in them. Meaning for the movie, this group of demons being imprisoned by Giwa may be different types of creatures all clustered together under one label. While Jinu made a bargain, others might not have the same reasons for being there. What I learned from my rabbit hole was that Korean mythology really only reinforces the essentially not evil nature of these creatures. The word saja has a double meaning. Said one way, it means lion, but said another way, with a long vowel, it means envoy or emissary. The band's name has this double meaning that plays off of the Jeosung Saja. Jeosung Saja. Jeosung Saja. Oh my god, it's hitting me how bad my pronunciation is. Do not copy my pronunciation in this video. Be honest, do I sound like that cat that says "Oh Long Johnson"? Oh Long Johnson. Oh Long Johnson. Jeosung Saja. Oh Long Johnson. In Korean mythology, the Jeosung Saja are like government workers for death. They're not evil spirits, it's just their job. They carry a death ledger of the names of people whose time is up, and they don't cause your death, so don't shoot the messenger. They were typically in medieval armor, maybe on a horse. This sleek, all-black aesthetic for the Jeosung Saja is based off of old Korean movies and K-dramas. The Saja boys are definitely not Jeosung Saja, as they have malicious intent. But them dressing as them comes off as a funny threat to me. You may notice that their outfits in Your Idol are more modern, shiny versions of their original outfits that they wore when they pitched their idea. So I think this is canonically a costume to them, mocking their victims. As in, if you see me in this outfit, it's like you're already dead. I think this is in character for them, considering that the Soda Pop song is basically a metaphor for them drinking up the souls of their victims. I like that the romantic arc between Rumi and Jinu doesn't have a kiss. It can just be a meaningful connection that ends in tragedy. This is super smart because it allows the connection between Rumi, Mira, and Zoe to be the strongest force in the movie, which makes sense thematically. It shows serious restraint that their romantic scenes are just brief, sort of awkward conversations where you get the sense that they could be so much more. Because selling a love story between a 400-year-old demon and a human is already hard, but not having to rush it to get to a big kiss or an I love you just adds so much oxygen and charm to their interactions.
I just want to talk.
Talk?
About your patterns? But first, I want to talk about those pants. teddy bears and choo-choo trains? Really?
It makes it so much more romantic because it doesn't have to be a bullet train, paint by numbers forbidden love that would inevitably fight for time with everything else. Speaking of things that could have gone so wrong, but went so right, if the catchy songs weren't catchy, and if the choreography wasn't so addictive to watch, oh my god, it makes me so nervous watching this, thinking about how much was riding on that. Because this would just be a different movie. Instead, Golden, and more concerningly for our souls, Soda Pop have done extremely well, and the album's official soundtrack hit #1 on Spotify. I think it's interesting how this movie does its call to action very non-traditionally. It starts in medias res, in the middle of the action. And this is really suiting here when you think about it because these girls are experts at the two things they do that is sort of the one thing that they do. So that bumbling around everyman stage is not really needed here, and instead, we can start with what their baseline reality is, and their baseline reality is bombastic, glamorous chaos. And that's why how it's done is a really satisfying way of getting into this world, into their mindset, what drives them, what upsets them. The entire movie keeps the tone very silly and high energy, and I think that's why they stayed away from giving too much backstory, which I wanted more of, but that's a very good problem to have when I want more of the backstory, but I still don't feel empty as a viewer. I just want more of it because I want more of the characters in this world. It's honestly beautiful as a standalone piece, though. I'm expecting a tiger has been spotted in the pasture, if you catch my drift. The tiger is made of money. The world building itself is very folklore driven, which I love, and it's honestly an example of how, especially in movies when you can have interesting visual elements, outright telling is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it can be very fable-like. K-Pop Demon Hunters is actually doing a lot of that, but it's doing it with rich visuals, so I think it's getting away with this very blunt script, where it is kind of just telling you things. But it's not like it always over-explains. It doesn't take every opportunity to over-explain, for example, Celine or Jinu. And I think that's why it's getting away with it, because even after the movie, there is a lot of stuff to talk about that's still up in the air. Also, every piece of exposition is very short and punchy and trying to get the most bang for its buck in terms of characterization. The momentum of this movie is very fast. It definitely gives this fun feeling as it takes you along. It almost feels exhausting, but it's a glamorous sort of exhausted where I collapse next to my floating steps. The drawback is the movie didn't make me cry, and I think the hummingbird tone is part of that. However, this movie has such a unique vibe, it scratches such a specific psychological itch that I don't know if tampering with it to fix my problem wouldn't just break that zippy funness to it. Because it's going beat, beat, beat at a fast pace. And that makes me feel like I'm following this larger-than-life, magical K-pop demon hunter girl. The humor was a little corny for me, but a couple of jokes hit great and were more of my humor.
I just need to look away and, whew, relax, Bobby. It's just social media numbers, not the end of the world.
Bobby generally hit very well for me. Very cute supporting role. So did Mira's concerning reactions to things despite her edgy exterior.
You okay? What are you doing?
Nothing. Just, did you want to come in?
I mean, yeah, if you want me to come in, I can come in.
The tiger and the magpie fascinate me. I love how the magpie is animated. I love how metal he is. I love designs with too many eyes. He's just such a perfect, cute demon bird. There is a lot of Korean folk art about tigers and magpies. Now, the tiger can represent a lot of things. It can be good fortune, it can also be a stand-in for people in positions of power, or, notable for this, it can also be protection from evil spirits. I think it's ironic that an evil spirit like Jinu would keep something that keeps him at bay as a pet, like a snail keeping salt as a pet, a pet rock salt. I also think it kind of implies that Jinu isn't evil, that he has some good in him, and thus he's tethered to these good spirits. Also, Jinu's line about the hat is one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Why does the bird wear a tiny hat?
I made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps taking it.
I also think that this, from the credits, points to the idea that Jinu made the hat small because the tiger was small, which is important information to tell you. Sometimes I wonder why some cute mascots hit harder than others. There's this book, The Power of Cute by Simon May, that has this interesting suggestion that on some level, in order for something to be really, really cute, there needs to be something sort of pathetic about it. Something that cries out for our help. Like a puppy is cute, but a puppy with a cast on. I'm not sure if that's always true, but I was definitely thinking about it as I watched the tiger try to innocently, curiously get the flower pot to stand upright, but he keeps knocking it over. The tiger's design is beautiful and based off of Korean tiger art, but it has very unnerving eyes that are not an obvious choice for a cute character that's essentially functioning as a walking mailbox. But man, he works. I love this tiger. Also, very boopable nose. The tiger has a boopable nose. There are also many things that I find amusing, even if they're not haha funny to me. Like, I like how tropey the Saja boys are. Like, I think it's funny. It's like, oh, there's the mysterious one and the ripped one whose name is Abs, and then there's the one that's the quote-unquote baby of the group that's sucking on his water bottle. I will say, these characters are flawed in a very light way for a story about shame, but they are likable because it's kind of like what's not to like. They're cute and relatable. I too enjoy eating and resting. A lot of it is in the character's design and facial animations, and 5% of it might be that the glitter in the eye makeup just makes my dopamine go crazy. Rumi, Mira, and Zoe feel unique and cohesive standing next to each other. This is a good example of how similar proportions does not equal same face syndrome, and can be handled really well. The amount of detail in the nails, face makeup is astounding. There is more than one makeup look. Even stuff like the group's merch feels so well thought out. The merch light sticks the Saja boys have, I love how their emblem is a lion, and it's like the lion's mane is the rest of the shape. And for the Huntrixes, they look both like the Hanmoon and a microphone. They even cared enough to show the girls out of makeup, making them feel more believable and real. And anatomical details, like the muscles flexing under the skin, looked really cool and helped add weight to scenes. I like Rumi's demon marks and how they evolved to take on this beautiful, shining characteristic, which sort of undoes their negative characteristic, but at the same time, I think it's cool, and I like the symbolism. The marks take on this new quality, rather than her being freed from them or they're receding, they take on this beautiful sort of look, almost like healed scars. It's neat. I also like how their outfits after the girls have made up have a subtle pattern to them too. While I think some people will see a beautiful character with sort of superficial flaws, I think the story did a good job of building that flaw up in the plot to make it lore relevant, as well as with the demon voice creeping in, affecting Rumi's singing and making her look demonic and untrustworthy. That I think worked as a physical manifestation of the shame.
But that's not all you are. This is just your demon talking. You have to fight it!
That's not how it works!
I also think they did a good job building up how Zoe and Mira are used to seeing everything with patterns as inhuman, and so they have been brainwashed by their training. And this plays into the lyrics of Takedown and why Rumi finds it so upsetting. The hatred for demons for Rumi becomes a type of self-hatred. In the flashback, Celine braids Rumi's hair in a style similar to her mother's hair as she trains her to hunt demons. And it's sort of like Celine is emphasizing the half of Rumi that she's comfortable with.
Why couldn't you love me? I do! All of me!
While the obvious thing to do here is to develop Celine and the mother and the demon father and Jinu, I understand tonally why this was either cut or not included. It keeps the tone of the movie way sillier. I really enjoyed this movie. I struggled with my projects all becoming huge and unmanageable, but I found my script for K-Pop Demon Hunters was short and as straightforward as the movie. I can't believe K-Pop Demon Hunters fixed me. I'm going to be thinking about how much Mira asked her friends if they're okay for a while, as well as the fact that Zoe's ramyun was hamburger flavored. I'm suspicious we have another Elsa on our hands with Rumi and that my feed will soon be clogged with AI baby Saja boy videos or whatever. But it's nice to be back. I'm Quinn Curio. Thanks for listening. Let me know if there's anything interesting about K-Pop Demon Hunters that I didn't touch on.